Good afternoon. I am Elizabeth Brown Ellis, the Executive Director of the Lima Symphony Orchestra, and I am thrilled to welcome all of you today as we make a very important announcement about our new music director. Joining me today is Board President Shannon Wanamaker and Search Facilitator Henry Fogel. Before we get started today, I just want to thank all of our board members, our search committee, our musicians and community members and the staff who welcomed all of our outstanding candidates so warmly to Lima, and thank all of you who helped us make this incredibly momentous decision. Picking a music director is probably the most important decision an orchestra can make, and I am so thankful that we had the guidance of Henry during this process. Without him, it would have been a very different experience, and I am so very appreciative of all of his guidance. Henry, can you just kind of discuss the search process a little bit for us?
Sure. I think particularly for people not in the music industry, it's surprising how thorough it is, particularly for smaller orchestras. When they announce an opening, a shocking number of conductors sends in an application. In our case, we had 187 conductors applied for this job. Clearly, not all of them are qualified. Some of them maybe were still even students in conducting studies, but at least 50 or 70 would probably make acceptable choices. And narrowing it down is a very complicated process. One of the things that was terrific about this process is it had board members, staff members, and musicians as part of the search committee. And what I found as an outsider watching it, what I found very gratifying was the musicians were not only worried about musical ability, but they too wanted somebody who was going to do the off the podium part of the job, working with donors, thinking about programming, thinking about new audiences, thinking about developing audiences. And of course, all of this is even more important in the troubled times that we're in now, when we're going to have to work hard in this business to get our audiences back into our concert halls once it is safe to do so. So all of those off the podium factors become very important. Of the 187 applications, the committee selected, if I remember, something like 40 to actually watch video examples of their conducting. And then from that, narrowed it down to probably about a dozen or 15 with whom we held Skype interviews. That was before Zoom and other services became possible or became popular. And again, the committee took this so seriously. And after the video interviews, we had a long discussion with everybody giving their reactions. And from that, we narrowed it down to the number of finalists that would actually be invited to guest conduct the orchestra, although some of the ones who didn't make that were kept on the list as alternates in case any of the finalists fell away for some reason. Maybe they got another job. And then those conductors came and conducted. I was present at those concerts, and while I will not leak the name of the winner, I will tell you that I was at his concert and was really impressed, not only with the concert, but with his interaction with the committee at meetings that we had and with donors at social events and so forth. It's an extraordinarily thorough process. And actually, orchestras that do it are surprised that they find it so healthy, because it's probably the only time that you get board, staff, and musicians in the same room talking about the institution and what do we want to be. And that's a very healthy exercise. So I'm going to turn it back to Elizabeth now. That's the description of the process, and one of which I have to say, and I've done a lot of these. I've facilitated about 25 or 30 of these in the last 10 years. And the seriousness with which this committee approached it could be a model for other orchestras.
Well, thank you. Again, we could not have done it without you, nor would we have attracted the candidates that we did without you. So we truly, truly are indebted to you. And you said something about how comprehensive this process is. We've actually prepared a little video that we want to share with everyone, just to give everyone an experience about what our candidates kind of enjoyed when they were in Lima.
It's time, Lima, to answer the question we've been asking for the past 2 years. Who will be Lima's next conductor? In March 2018, a search committee was formed to navigate through the process of selecting the best choice for the 5th music director for the Lima Symphony Orchestra. 11 committee members were a part of the search committee. Orchestra members, board members, and community members were a part of the selection process, all led by esteemed orchestra consultant Henry Fogel. He is the former head of the League of American Orchestras and the Chicago Symphony. 187 applicants from all over the world submitted their resumes to be considered. The search committee carefully reviewed each application and invited 45 candidates to send conducting videos. From those 45 conductors, we selected 12 for video interviews before narrowing the field to our 8 finalists. Beginning in October 2019, each finalist traveled to Lima to vie for the position of Lima's next conductor. Each candidate spent approximately 1 week in Lima. They rehearsed the Lima Symphony Chorus, led educational programs in the schools and library, attended Healing Through Music programs, held conversations with Boost, met with board members, community and arts leaders, attended Friends of the Symphony events, appeared on news programs and other media outlets, worked with soloists. They were busy and really attained a sense of the community the symphony works to serve. The candidates worked diligently to craft their individual concerts. Audiences were treated to a diverse selection of composers, genres, and soloists throughout the season. The search committee welcomed feedback from our audience, chorus members, and musicians through a survey that was hosted on the symphony's website. After months of planning and many hours of discussion, the search committee is ready to announce who is Lima's next conductor.
And everybody loves a good cliffhanger. And with that, it is my absolute delight to welcome Lima's new music director and conductor, who is Maestro Andrew Crust. Andrew, welcome to Lima.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Hello to the staff who is watching and the board, and Shannon and Henry. Thank you all for that great introduction. Hello to the musicians out there who are watching, and everyone in the community. I'm so excited. We've been sitting on this information for what seems like it's been months. So I wish I could be in Lima sharing this news with you all in person. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy in these unusual times. I'm very excited. I felt so welcomed when I came to Lima the very first time, and I agree with Henry that the process was so thorough, and it was really set up to show our strengths. And Elizabeth knew when to work us, when to bring us out into the community, and also when to just bring us back to the hotel room and give us some time. The first thing I noticed was a really dedicated staff, and as well as the board, which is extremely important. But then I met the community, and I realized this is a community that is very passionate about the symphony. They truly believe in the value of the symphony in the community, and that to me is critical. And then came my favorite part, which is getting to work with the musicians themselves. And they were so eager to dig into this music and to work with all of their intensity and all of their energy, and we created a really fantastic concert. It was full of passion and intensity. I recognize, this is a very strange time to be entering a leadership role with an orchestra, and to say there's a lot of uncertainty would be a bit of an understatement. But I have great hope and great faith in this organization, and in the musicians and in the community, and I really do think we're going to make it work. I have a lot of goals. I have a lot of things that I want to bring to Lima. I want to continue this tradition of artistic excellence that already exists and broaden that. I want to work with obviously Elizabeth and the board to navigate our current situation regarding regarding COVID, and come out of this as financially strong as possible. But in regards to the community, I really want to reach as far out into new areas of the community as possible, and reach new demographics and bring people into the hall who have never been in the hall before, for whatever reason. I'm committed to supporting all of the fantastic educational programs. And by the way, this orchestra has more than most. It's really something that I find critical. and I will be a part of that at every chance I get. And then in terms of the programming, my philosophy is to really diversify it as much as possible in terms of style, time period, the racial and gender makeup of composers, to include living composers, and of course to maintain that healthy dose of the classics, but to make our music look more like our world, I think is very, very important. And I did a little math yesterday. I didn't realize this, but in our grand series and our candlelight concerts, 28% of the composers are people of color or women. One of them is a female person of color, so that kind of messes with the math, but that is a very high percentage. I think there's an Institute for Composer Diversity that checks up on these things, and I'm going to be happy to send them our season. So with that in mind, I'd love to just give you a brief teaser of the program, of the season, which will all be up online very soon. I'll give you some of the bullet points. It's going to be great. We open our grand series with Lily Boulanger, who was the sister of Nadia Boulanger, and she was a 20th century composer. This piece is D'un matin de printemps. It's a beautiful little colorful piece. We have the Poulenc double piano concerto and the Beethoven Fifth Symphony, which everyone obviously knows. It's sort of a triumphant ending. And my idea with this program is to sort of show you what I want to bring. So 20th century female composer, a piece which is a masterpiece, the Poulenc, but maybe a little bit lesser known, and then a standard canonical work that is always going to be great. We've got a really fun and meaningful and powerful bells, brass, and bows with the Poulenc Gloria and the chorus, and guest conductor Christopher James Ray, who's the resident conductor of San Jose Opera. That's going to be fun for the whole family. New Year's Eve is Classical Mystery Tour, Beatles show, which I mean, I grew up with the Beatles. I'm extremely excited for that. We've got a great candlelight concert with Yaniv Attar featuring Pärt and Schubert and J.C. Bach and Chevalier de Saint-Georges. I think one of the most important concerts we'll do this year is Black History Month in February. I wanted to highlight two of the all-time greatest Black orchestral composers, William Grant Still in his Symphony No. 1, Afro-American, as well as Florence Price, who is really having a renaissance right now. And she wrote a lot of art songs for voice and piano. And I've actually been working with Schirmer, the publishing company, to make some orchestrations of some of those songs. And the wonderful soprano Catherine Jolly will sing that, as well as Barbara Knoxville, Summer of 1915. We've got great education concerts, Outer Space Symphony, and we've also got our grand finale with chorus is going to be Brahms, Nani, Vaughan Williams Toward the Unknown Region, which unfortunately had to be canceled, but we're going to bring it back. And then the fantastic Dvorak Cello Concerto with the legendary cellist Amit Peled. And so I'm so excited for the season ahead, and I'm very excited to see all of you in person soon.
I'm going to just put in one quick word, because I'm sure most people who will watch this don't know Lily Boulanger. Lily Boulanger is one of the great tragedies of music. We talked about Mozart and Schubert dying in their 30s. She was in her early to mid-20s when she died. And her music is just exquisitely beautiful. I'm delighted that you've included that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to be discovered there, and imagine how much more there would have been if she had lived longer.
Andrew, before we turn it back to Elizabeth, I would just like to ask you, what was it like to go through the search process from your side of the equation?
Well, as you mentioned, it was very thorough. I had a packed schedule, but that told me a couple things. That told me that the staff and the board and the search committee were serious about this, that they had consulted with each other and with you and with other organizations to figure out what the best path forward was. And they wanted to see all of the candidates, who, by the way, are fantastic. They're my colleagues and they're all great. They wanted to see us in a variety of situations. And because, conducting is not just waving your arm around and collecting a paycheck. There's a lot that goes into it. And so I felt comfortable because I knew that they really wanted to find the right person. I don't want to join an orchestra that isn't right for me, and they shouldn't want to hire someone that's not right for them. So it's a lot, it's busy, but it's also exciting. And you get to personally meet everyone and discover what it is about this community that would work. So I thought it was very well designed.
Thank you. Before I turn it, Elizabeth, I just want to say one final thing. One of my roles in this process, when I facilitate a search, is I offer to do the reference checking. And I do that partly because I'm known in the business. I've been in the music business for 55 years, managed the Chicago Symphony and then the League of American Orchestras. So people in the business know me, and therefore I get honest answers. And I just want to say, I could not, try as I might, I could not wring a negative word about Andrew out of anybody. And I want to say, this may sound like something that, a nice, polite thing to say. I've almost never had that experience. Almost anybody who's been in a conducting position for even 5 years has annoyed some people. But I spoke to musicians, I spoke to administrators, I spoke to volunteers, board members, and I always end the conversation by saying, okay, you've told me all of the positive things. What can you say that he ought to work on, that maybe is not a strength? And the only answer I got one of two answers. I can't think of anything, or he doesn't yet have 25 years of experience, and he'll get it in 25 years.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, but literally I could not urge negative out of anybody. So you should be very pleased, Andrew, and the community should be very pleased with the choice that he's made.
Thank you, Henry. I absolutely agree. And I must say that when I saw the reference checks, it was just astounding. I mean, absolutely incredible. Your authenticity and genuineness really, really shined through in all of that. And I felt very confident that what we saw of you that week was not the facade of, okay, here's my interview week. This was really who you are. And it was, I'm just so excited about the future. And programming has been such fun with you. I have learned so much. It's been, you suggested pieces I didn't know, and every time I listened to them, I could just, see them either in the church for candlelight or in the concert hall. And it was a time of real elation, I think, especially as we were going through all of this uncertainty in the country with the COVID, and everybody was canceling everything. To actually try to plan something felt so good. But obviously we know that next season will have its challenges and may not happen as expected. We have postponed our 4th of July concert to Labor Day. We're not going to open our season until November. And just, can you kind of talk a little bit about what you see possibly happening if we're not able to return, to the concert hall in November for a full Grand Series concert?
Sure. Yeah, it's a very good question, and this is absolutely an existential moment for all arts organizations. And I said earlier today on the news that we ask for your patience and your support in any way possible. There will be changes in the season, most likely. We don't know when or where or how. There may be situations where the program is completely changed, or we need a fewer amount of musicians on the stage. There may be cancellations. So we ask that you be patient and trust that we're doing the best that we can. We want to play. I mean, we're all just sitting here dying to play for people. We want it to happen so much. We can make music via Zoom, but it's not the same thing. And so we will do it as safely as possible, following guidelines from the state and the local community. But there are going to be changes. And I'll tell you right now, if you can renew a donation, if you can be a first-time donor, if you donated your tickets, thank you. I will just say we need the support. We need the financial support. Every arts organization does right now. We need people to have that money coming in. And so I also feel hopeful because I feel that people now are realizing, wow, what am I doing if I'm working from home? What I want now is art. I want to listen to music. I wish I could go to the art museum. I wish I could go to the ballet. Watching a Netflix show, that's art. I mean, that's consuming, that's all we have now. But that live experience, I think people are realizing now how valuable it is. And we musicians who do this for a living are realizing how valuable it is. And so we want to bring that back as soon as possible. And I can't wait for that moment when it finally happens. It's going to be a very powerful moment. But stand by. There are going to be changes. Please don't get frustrated. We're going to be trying our best. But I really hope we can present most of this season, because I think it'll be a fantastic one.
Well, Andrew, one thing I'd love to ask you about, and I think that our audience will be very interested in this as well, is what's your perspective on the evolving role of orchestras in their communities, and what opportunities do you see in Lima?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, obviously, I'm new to Lima, and I have a lot to learn about this community. So I will rely on the musicians and the staff and the community. But I do believe an orchestra has a vital role in a community. And I believe that every concert that an orchestra gives really dramatically changes someone's life or their outlook. And that might seem cliche, but I've had enough people come up to me on any given concert and say, for whatever reason, that Haydn symphony, I heard it when I was a kid, or it really meant something to me in this current moment. And so we have a great responsibility. We're not just providing entertainment. And every concert doesn't need to be about something or be meaningful in some thematic way. Entertainment is there, but also I believe that an orchestra can serve its community by programming community-centric concerts. And what does this community need, and what does it need to hear? And also responding to current events. Music can open your mind. It can transport you to different places, to different times, and so it builds empathy. It builds cultural understanding and understanding of history. And right now, the world is grappling with existential questions about race, about climate and health, and all of these things. And an orchestra can respond to that and provide a way for people to think outside the box and all of those things. And as I said, that's not to say that an orchestra's goal is to be a social commentary all the time. We just need to hear great music sometimes too. But absolutely, it's a powerful educational tool, not only for kids, but for adults. And it's a vital part of any community. It opens our minds and our ears to new things. And so I want to make the artistic product as high as I can, and really try and build bridges in this community and find ways to engage local talent. But I've got a lot to learn. So if you see me in town, come up and talk to me and tell me something I didn't know.
It's great to hear you say that, because I've been saying for the last 15 or 20 years, if orchestras are going to survive and thrive, they are going to have to mean something, even to people in the community who don't go to their concerts. And they're going to have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that means you have to listen. So, reach out to us on our website, find us in person. I think none of us are shy about that. So please, your voice should be heard. Absolutely.
Well, and I can absolutely guarantee you that you will be as busy when you come back to Lima as you were during your search week, because everyone will be dying to meet you and to congratulate you and to tell you what they want to hear, for sure. We do not have a shy audience either. So I just really want to thank again everybody for being here today. We have all of the information about next season on our website. Our tickets will go on sale tomorrow. Ticket brochures are in the mail, so look for yours. And please, again, join me in welcoming Maestro Andrew Krust to Lima. We are delighted to have you here.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you all in the concert hall sooner than later.